Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. All right, my guest this segment, David Williams, Pagetrader.com. David, welcome back to the show.
Michael, thank you for having me.
All right, my pleasure. All right, last time you were on the show, you were talking about the S&P market. You felt that we would see a multi-day pullback, and
yes,
let's start there. Don't forget the Bitcoin today, and then we'll move on to everything that you've been trading.
You know what, Michael? I'll start with Bitcoin, if you don't mind,
Not at all.
Let's talk a little bit about it. First of all, the Bitcoin is by far the most volatile market I've ever seen. I think most technicians would agree that the volatility, the number of dollars of movement per unit of time, if you will, per day, per hour, per week, is the highest we've ever seen in any market. And we think, just in terms of what Bitcoin is doing, we think that Bitcoin wants to come down a little bit further than where it is now. We think we're going to see 55.30. We didn't quite get there today. We got to 55.78. We think we're going to see 55.30 and possibly even lower over the next day or so. And the possibly even lower price is more like, 55 even. So $5,500, $5,530 to $5,500. Those are two price levels that we think we're going to see in Bitcoin over the next couple of days on the downside. So Bitcoin is coming down.
Is there a way to short the Bitcoin, or do you just wait for a pullback and then look to buy it to move higher? How does that work?
Well, you can trade in Bitcoin, but it's not on the normal everyday exchanges that most of us work with. But there are ways to trade it. The best thing to do now is the exchanges are coming around with a tradable, maybe even a futures contract for Bitcoin that would be very, very useful for people like myself, you, Michael, and others that want to trade this, other than trading it as a one-for-one currency, where you're actually going in and buying Bitcoins and selling Bitcoins. I think we would rather trade it as a futures contract, which I think is, if it's not out already, and I don't think it is coming soon. Coming over to the S&P 500, we did forecast a couple days ago that the S&P 500 would top on October 23rd, and it did do that. And we believe that, barring a breakout to all-time new highs, barring that happening, we think this pullback is going to take us into October 30th, plus or minus a day, and we'll probably be seeing lower prices in the S&P into October 30th, plus or minus a day, down at 25.53 to 25.52. We're trading at 25.66 right now, so we're not super far from that. But we do think that we have a number of days sideways to lower in the S&P, and we're expecting on October 30th, which happens to be Monday of next week, plus or minus 1 day, that the market will trade the December S&P futures contract, Michael, will trade at 25.53 to 25.52.
Is that a big turn do you see in the market, or is this pretty much a buying dip on an overall uptrend?
Probably a buying dip. This market, the way that we view markets when the election came in November, when it was clear that Donald Trump was going to become president, the energy, if you will, that entered the market at that time is not the same energy that had brought the market to the highs it was at that time. This energy is new energy and isn't subject to the wear and tear factor of the previous portion of the trend up at that time. So new energy means that it doesn't relate to the previous, and it isn't merely an extension of the previous highs. We believe that the S&P is going to continue with the usual pullbacks. Mm-hmm. It's going to continue higher into 2019 minimum before the current larger advance ends.
Do you see greater rates of volatility, kind of a melt up, if you will?
I think, Michael, we're in a melt up. I mean, I don't know how else to describe this, and it is a melt up precisely because it is what we talked about. This is new energy. It's not the ending or an extension of the old energy that had brought the market to its then current highs. prior to the November 2016 election. So, yes, I agree with you. We're in a melt-up, and what we do think that buying pullbacks is safe to do. We continue to do it, and I would invite your listeners to come to Pagetrader.com. Not only do we forecast these markets, but we have a special trading room where we help people utilize these forecasts to their very, very best use, so that it isn't just, hey, nice call, but they actually could take advantage of the moves.
Right. Personal instructions with what's going on. What other markets are you trading?
Well, we trade a wide range. I'll give them to you. Certainly the S&P, bonds, crude oil, is a big one for us that we love. The euro, live cattle, Japanese yen, copper, soybeans, natural gas. Those are probably the main futures markets. Some people may be uncomfortable with some of those markets, but we don't trade in those every day. Some of the more obscure ones, like, as an example, copper is not really a common overnight trading market for many what you might consider to be day traders and stuff, things like that. But soybeans is certainly a wonderful market. Natural gas is a wonderful market. So we cover all these because on any one day, any one of these markets may be slow or may not have really good indications. But if we can look at 10 or 12 markets, and if we're skilled in those markets, we can actually put out something quite usable every day, and often in 2, 3, or 4 of those 10 or 12 markets.
Dave, we've got about a minute left in the show. Any last words on any other markets before we close out?
Well, primarily, I think our biggest interest right now is in trading the S&P down into the decline that we talked about into October 30th, plus or minus a day. And just that information alone could allow somebody to sell rallies until October 30th, plus or minus a day.
Well,
could be very useful.
For the new people, give them an idea. Like on the ES contract right now, 25.65 is where it's at, and you're looking for it to go down to potentially 25.53, right?
25.53 to 52, and to do that into October 30th, plus or minus a day. And that's the basic trade that we give out. But we also then give people exactly where to try to short it and how to protect their risk, put risk capital at work. You want to have a protective stop and so on. And we walk that trade through to completion. People can come to Pagetrader, Pagetrader.com. We have a free 1-week trial. There's nobody will bother you. You can just take the trial, enjoy all of the forecasts that we make. You'll get everything that we put out, our whole total work product. And most people, after they see what is possible, certainly come back.
Thanks, David. We got to go. All right, David Williams, Pagetrader.com. You've been listening to CEO Money. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more great content.